Thanks, Miranda. So I'm Lynette. I'm one of the co-owners at South Austin Dog Center, and I have been training for what, like 18 years now, I think it is. Anyway, a long, long time. We are both part of the Pet Professional Guild, and I am a CGC evaluator. Okay, Erica.
Hi, I'm Erica Ashkenazi. I'm one of the co-owners with Lynette of South Austin Dog Center. I've been doing this for a number of years, somewhat newer, second career. Got into it when I got a dog from the shelter about 10 years ago who had some behavior issues, and everything spun off from there. It's been a wonderful journey, and we're happy to be here today.
All right. So what do you guys say that we just kind of jump right in? Everybody's here to learn about enrichment and what it actually is, and how you can make your dogs smarter, happier, and maybe curb some behaviors that you're. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump right in, shall we? So give me just a second. I'm going to share the screen. Here we go. Everybody can see it, I hope.
Yep, there you go.
All right. So, canine enrichment, meeting your dog's physical and mental needs. And of course, Erica and I are presenting this. So, anyway, I guess first of all, we need to kind of know, what is enrichment? Well, canine enrichment is a variety of activities that are designed to exercise, challenge, and enhance your dog's brain power and satisfy their natural instincts in a safe manner. And I'm really stressing safety here. Some examples of natural activities for dogs are going to be sniffing, foraging, problem solving, stalking, playing chase, and of course, social interactions, because dogs are very social animals. So there's a number of reasons why we should actually offer enrichment to our dogs. It's going to really help reduce the bad stress. There's good stress and there's bad stress. Good stress helps lead to learning. Bad stress is when your dog kind of goes a little bit overboard, and that's when they tend to act out. Dogs will also act out through boredom, and dogs can also get depressed. I mean, if it just is, just like people, they can get depressed. Canine enrichment also helps reduce behavioral disorders and displays. So, what I mean by that is some dogs are prone to things like OCD behaviors, especially if you have a smart dog. Smart dogs tend to get themselves into a lot of trouble. Uh, Displays are going to be if they're experiencing some sort of frustration or something, that's when you might have something more along the lines of reactivity and aggressive displays toward people and other animals. Enrichment also increases your dog's capacity to learn new things. They become smarter, they become better at problem solving, better at doing everything. It encourages their curiosity. So they want to do more, which is what we want. We don't want just couch potatoes, not even really couch potatoes, just existing. But if you do this correctly, you're also going to promote better physical health for your dog. So many times people go, okay, well, we're going to take the dog out on a walk and that's enough. And it's just not. Dogs need a lot more of everything. Otherwise, they're just bottling everything up inside. Now, this one is actually really, really cool that it can increase the appetite in your picky eaters or if your dog is not feeling well. And I'm going to get into that more in a little bit with my guy Maverick. He might not make an appearance, but he will in the slides. Okay, so enrichment also helps build confidence by giving the dog the perceived control over their environment. Everybody likes to have some sort of control, right? If we're just being told what to do and where to go all the time, you might just go, yeah, all right, fine. I guess. Or you might actually rebel a little bit and say, no, I'd really just kind of rather watch TV or whatever. But having that confidence, being able to go out and do things, your dogs are going to be able to handle things better than you would have thought. All right. So there is more reasons. When you engage in enrichment activities with your dog, you also help increase that ability to bond with your dogs. As I already mentioned, dogs are very social animals. And so when we do things with them, we increase that bonding and they're more willing. It's more like a partnership. I never believed in the whole, master servant or master dog thing. For me, everything was always a partnership, being able to do things with my dog. Now, if we are going to keep pets, then I personally believe that we have an ethical necessity to provide that enrichment because they have different needs than we do. Some people might be perfectly happy reading a book, painting a picture, watching TV. Dogs, not so much. That's kind of boring for them. They have these natural instincts, these natural needs that they need to express. This next one is actually really, really cool. I do have an 18-year-old dog. She was one of the first dogs when I started. She has recently started displaying signs of canine cognitive dysfunction. Basically, that's doggy dementia. So she forgets where she is, she gets lost. But with the enrichment activities that we are doing and have done, it's actually kind of helped increase her ability to be able to get around that. And she has my other dogs here to kind of help her. But the one most important thing here, eh, the enrichment makes dogs happy. And that's really what we want. A happy dog is going to do so many more things with us and for us than a dog that's just kind of there, kind of existing. Personally, I think it's a very sad life if a dog has no interaction with people, but I'm not a sad person, so we're not going to get into that too much. All right. So we have basically 5 different categories of enrichment. There's the physical environment that they live in, the sensory environment. We're going to get into all of these in a little bit. The cognitive abilities, the social aspect, and food. There's a lot of crossover between these categories. But I know right now we're getting a little sciencey, so we're going to stop right there. Because what you guys, I think, really want to know is what you can do with your dogs today to kind of help implement different types of enrichment activities. So, that being said, let me tell you first about Kelly. So Kelly is the dog that got me started in training. She was my behavior case. There were a lot of things. She was also my first adult dog. We had a very good start, and then we had a traumatic experience, and things just kind of went downhill. And I didn't know what I was doing at the time at all with her. And when I had her, enrichment enrichment was maybe on the fringes. There wasn't a lot of stuff around it. So, I mean, I did all this other training stuff with her, but realistically, it was not fitting her needs. And so I had to kind of go through and figure out what to do with her. I mean, when you have a border collie or a border collie mix, everybody tells you, "Oh, well, you got to run them or they need a job." And me, like I said, we'd had a traumatic experience. I had injured my knee. There was no way I could walk her, no way I could run her. Playing frisbee and ball was not doing enough. So I had to come up with other ways to help exercise her brain and calm down a lot of this energy and this nervous tension that she had. And hers is actually a kind of amazing. Like I said, she had a good start before our traumatic incident. But, she went from basically having to be my protector and, attacking people and other animals on site to playing with dogs and soliciting pets. And somewhere in all of my many photos, I even have a picture of her cuddling with a kitten. Uh, and it took a long time, but we got there. So, whoops. Sorry, my computer was slow for a second. Let's talk about the physical environment first. So, physical environment is basically where the dog lives and what you do. And these are a couple of our guys. I'm going to go over this in just a moment. So, your physical environment enrichment is adding something comfortable, dynamic, or fun for your dog to do. This can be obstacles or mazes. I know everybody has seen those videos of that dog that's like at the end of the hallway and the owner calls him and he walks all around these tubes of things without knocking any of them over. That's a type of enrichment. For dogs that like to dig, giving them a place to dig is very, very important. And you can even make it more enticing. Say, hey, dig in this place by making sure that you have things in there for them to find because dogs do like to find things. Toys. I know if you're like me, you've got a lot of toys around. But when you play with the same toy all the time, it gets boring. Everybody likes to get new things. So, picking up some of the toys sometimes and rotating them can help your dog go, "Oh my gosh, I got all of these new things. This is awesome." You can also get a multitude of different types of beds and give your dogs a choice. Let them pick which ones they want to go to, which ones are more comfortable, rather than just getting one and saying, "Oh, I think you're going to like this," and the dog's like, "Yeah, I prefer the tile." So, along this line, I want to talk very kind of briefly here about Betty. Betty is a final frontier dog. She came to us for a little while. Ultimately, our environment was not the right one for her, just because she needed even more than what we could provide. But Betty, Betty, we don't know a lot about her history, I think. She was young. We know that she had had a litter. It seemed more along the lines that she was either a street dog or just in somebody's backyard. She had no idea how to play with toys. She she just didn't. She didn't even know that they were there. So once we introduced her to toys and she discovered how fun they were, then we started kind of adding in a little bit of a training game. And I want you guys to watch this video just because I think it's really, really cute. You will notice there are some rules to play. There should be some rules to play. Uh, Again, that helps with your bonding and increasing the experience. So give this just a second. Ah, I, hang on a second here. We're going to try to reload my video. I think I'm having weather issues right now. Anyway, she does this really, really, really cute happy dance around the ball, and that really helped her. I should mention Betty had some pretty severe barrier reactivity. She would always try to escape the yard. Once we introduced her to toys, she was much more interested in actually engaging with us. And I'm hoping. I think that this is probably because of the rain that my internet's being a little funny. But let's try again here. We'll try with another video. I've got several, so I'm kind of hoping. All right, let's talk briefly here about sensory enrichment. Sensory, well, think of your five senses: sight, smell, taste, touch, hearing. Dogs need this. So in our first picture here, we kind of got Atlas, and he's doing a T-touch body wrap. T-touch body wraps help bring the dogs back into themselves and just increase awareness to them. That's just a very, very brief overview. Um, we do that quite a bit, and if the dog enjoys it, that can be a really good thing for them. My guy Maverick also has some pretty severe arthritis. He wears wraps that, and it has helped increase his walking ability, uh, which is nice. Our next one here is Tanja. She's another rescue dog with Colleen Pets Alive, and she is doing a snuffle mat. Snuffle mats are fantastic. What she's doing here is exercising her nose, which in turn activates her brain. And then, of course, going out and playing. This last one is my guys over at Red Bud. Atlas actually isn't much of a swimmer, but he was learning to swim because he was following Kate and Knox. I'm really hoping. So here's just some ideas that you can do as far as your sensory enrichment is concerned. There's the sniffaris, the snuffle mats, food scatters, bird watching, especially for older dogs that don't really like to move as much anymore. Maybe because, like my guy, they do have some arthritis. His favorite thing is to sit on the porch and just kind of watch the world go by with me. He still gets some really good things for being there. He might go out a little bit and lay in the sun, but overall, he's kind of enjoying his retirement. Music. Animals really, really do like music. You kinda have to figure out what it is your dog likes. Uh, I mean, Erica, you can probably chime in. I think it's, Through a Dog's Ear or something like that, that has all of the different ones. Anyway,
Yeah. That's
there's
I
a
Calm Dog now.
oh, I Calm Dog. There we go. Alright, so music can really help dogs, though. It can help them relax. There's also Canine Freestyle, which is super fun. It's dancing with your dogs. So you teach them a bunch of tricks and you choreograph it to music. And what's cool about music, because it runs on some sort of mathematical principle, you can match your dog's natural gait to the beat. And it's really fun and exciting to see some of these guys get into it. Uh, I don't have any videos of that, but you should check it out. It's a lot of fun. Of course, there's nature hikes. Nature hikes are going to do a lot of different things for your dogs. It's going to just allow them to enact with the natural environment. You can go with a buddy, or you can go on. They can go on their own. Um, when you go on these hikes, you can help your dog out even further by letting them choose the path that they're going to take. Let them choose the pace. And let them sniff. Dogs are dogs. That's how they get their information, is just by sniffing everything. Of course, you can introduce your dogs to different types of surfaces, and you should. So, tile, carpet, cement, grass, gravel, just everything. Dogs' pads are actually pretty sensitive, surprisingly. And so, walking on these different surfaces can really help increase their confidence. And of course, somewhere along the lines, everybody has gotten into this thing of only buying the same food for your dog all of the time. Dogs do like some variety in their food. So you can stick with the same brand and the formulas are similar and just kind of mix up the proteins a little bit. And that will help your dog get maybe a little bit more excited about their food. Guys, it's really raining out here. I'm sorry. All right. So let's talk about your cognitive enrichment. And this one, honestly, it really, really is my jam because I love smart dogs. And it's fun and it's exciting to see all of the different things that they can do. And I mean, this is actually a recent one that I took. This is Cody. That dog is smart, guys. I'm not even kidding. So trying to figure out new things to do with him, yeah, that's the challenge. But the cool thing with your cognitive stuff is if you can make your dog think that it was their idea, then you've got it pretty much for life. So, your cognitive enrichment is going to be anything that presents a challenging and encourages thinking, learning, and or curiosity. So this is where our food puzzles come in and our toy puzzles and our training games and hide and seek, and the list there is just endless. I have a whole host of things to show you guys here at the end, ones that you can make, ones that you can buy. Um, of course, everybody's familiar with like the Kongs. And these are great and fantastic little food dispensers, but I'm going to show you guys how to take it up a step. So this is Maverick doing, oh, hang on, backspace. This is Maverick and his cognitive enrichment. He was receiving BarkBox. This is one of his many vet visits recently. And if I haven't said so before, Maverick is super smart. At 6 months old, he taught himself how to open the round handle on doors. So in here are the toys and everything that comes with BarkBox. And his favorite thing here is to just open the box. And this is one of the enrichment things that I do with him, especially since he's not nearly as mobile. I promise he's not this jittery, guys. And I gotta say, trying to do this with a cone on is not easy. All right, if my videos are going to be jittery just because of my internet access stuff, I'm okay. Anyway, the other thing that I really love to do when it comes to cognitive enrichment is shaping. Shaping is my number one favorite. My obedience champion dog, I taught her how to heal completely by shaping 11 years ago now, and she still has a very nice heel to this day, and she goes into it naturally because she figured it out herself. So with shaping, and this is where it gets maybe a little bit, when you shape any sort of behavior, you have to break it down into all its base components. So, say with Cody here, I want him to dribble the ball. Well, the first thing that I need is for him to be interested in the ball. So I'm going to mark and reward every single time he's interested in that ball. Then I might wait a little bit until he touches the ball, and I want him to use his paws. So I start marking and rewarding as he's touching his paws on the ball. Then I want him to go back and forth. So I will go forward, and if he's only hitting it with one, I'll wait until he hits it with the second. And so I'm marking both paws. Uh, if you Google 101 things to do with a box, that actually has an excellent explanation of shaping that you guys can do with just a cardboard box in your house. So I'm I'm going to try it one more time just because I'm an eternal optimist. All right. Is it jittery with you guys too? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, it's a super cute video. I'm sad I can't show it because I think the jitteriness is kind of annoying. But, anyways, what is really neat about this video, and you know what? I think what we might do is try to upload it so you guys can see them afterwards. But, anyways, Cody, You see him get more excited as it goes and as he's winning the game. Winning the game is important. Whenever you're doing anything with a dog's mental abilities, you have to make sure that they are able to do that at that time. And just like you're not going to give a kindergartner calculus, you have to start with the basics first and then expand upon it. All right, so our social enrichment. Dogs are dogs are kind of unique, guys. They are one of the few animals, because they are companion animals, who will accept other beings into their environment. So, and when I say other beings, I mean not just people, not just other dogs, but we're talking about things like cats, and I've seen horses. I've seen some develop relationships with goats. It's quite interesting. And actually, your livestock guardian dogs are definitely have a relationship with their flock. So, social enrichment is important to your dogs. This is going to be any social interactions. And so, oh, my computer. A properly run daycare, if your dog is dog friendly, again, we're stressing safety here. So you have to make sure that your dog is dog friendly. If they're not, then they might not really be enjoying the activity. They might be happier just hanging out with their people. But anyway, it's just being with somebody else. It's that social connection, which I'm sure everybody, especially after the pandemic, can appreciate. Even things going like park walks, social interaction doesn't necessarily mean that they're going up and saying hi. They can just be observing. And then, of course, tactile, if your dog likes it, things like tea touch, massage, just cuddling with your dog, and of course, playing with your dog, because it's that back and forth, and dogs do need that. Any animal in total isolation, and there have been so many studies on this, they go mad, they go crazy. This is one of the reasons why enrichment came about anyway in 1959 in zoos, is because initially animals were just kept in cages for people to view, and they started developing all sorts of behavioral issues. And a lot, this is where I get sciencey and geeky, but they did a lot of different studies on it, and that's why your zoos, especially now, have a lot of different enrichment activity things. And it's carried over into the dog world, which is fantastic. So, your vet offices, some of the ones that you'll go into will have like cat trees and everything for cats to feel more comfortable, or even their own cat room. Um, I'm not sure what happened to that one. Anyways, just I got off on a tangent there. So let's go ahead and get back in. Um, let's talk about your nourishment enrichment, which is your food. So this is my guy Maverick, and Maverick, we do go through and we rotate proteins. His diet's kind of limited just because of his medical stuff, but I definitely help him out. So let's talk about that. So your nourishment enrichment can be things like your chews, your bully sticks, your marrow bones. You can feed them out of puzzle bowls or even food puzzles, provided they're not getting frustrated and that it's not just acting as a barrier. And here's the one that I think is really, really important, is offering them a choice between the foods or the supplements or the toppers if you put toppers on. So a couple of weeks ago, Maverick decided that he was gonna go off his feed. He wasn't gonna eat anymore, and so what I started doing is I had a couple of different types of, proteins, a couple of different foods, and I would offer him a choice. So I would put the same kind of stuff out and say, "Okay, which one?" And he would pick which one. His way actually is to nuzzle it a little bit and then lick the bag. Once I started doing that, it was like an instant change in my dog. He went from, "I guess I can eat," to, "Oh, yes, great. This is exactly what I want. Thank you so much." He, for an old guy, I mean, he's 14. He's actually pretty spry now getting off his bed to go get his food. Uh, I don't give him a choice sometimes about his medications because that's kind of important, but he's more apt to take his medications in his food because he has the choice of what types of foods he wants and what proteins. You can even do this within a training aspect and offer your dog a choice of the different treats that they would like for that training session. And just make it nice and short and then offer them a choice again and say, "Okay, do you want this one? Do you want this one?" You just want to make sure that you're not giving them too many choices or they go crazy. Uh, some dogs you can even give a choice between, "Hey, do you want the food or do you want the toy?" when you're talking about training. And that video actually is kind of really, really cool. I do not have it uploaded, but we're doing that with a dog now. Just yesterday, actually, I gave him a choice between the food or the toy. And surprisingly, he chose the food, which because the day before he had chosen the both. But yesterday he chose the food, and we were able to get much further along with him. And he had an excellent day in comparison to the past week where he was just kind of trapped within his own head. All right, so let's talk about my DIY cognitive enrichment toys. There are so many different things that you can make. So even just going online are going to have so many things. So you can use cardboard boxes, paper rolls like the ones from toilet paper or paper towels, and egg cartons. Any of the cardboard stuff. If your dog happens to tear it up and ingest a little bit of it, it's okay. Most of it should all of it should pass. So it's okay if they tear it up. It's okay if they eat a little bit of it. It doesn't require as much supervision. So let me show you what I mean. And it's important here that it's the cardboard. So what we can do here is just take a regular egg carton. You can put some of their food, some treats in it. You can even put little bits of paper in here. And then again, depending on your dog's abilities, you might want to say, all right, well, here you go, and let them eat out of each individual little space. Or you can put the paper on top so they have to move something out of the way first. Or if you have a super smart dog, and they are definitely out there, close it up and let them figure out how to open it and then get through everything. So what that is one of them. And then probably sitting here going, what can we do with the paper towel rolls and cardboard boxes? Well, a lot of different things. So you can just kind of put boxes around the house and let them either pull out toys or food in here, some of their meals, some treats. You can put paper in here to kind of act as a little bit of a snuffle. You can also put all of your paper towel rolls in there, and so that then they have to pick them out. And again, if your dog is super smart, you can drop it in here and just kind of squeeze and close off the tops so that they have to work at it a little bit more. So it's something more like that. And of course, you can always close up the box and just kind of make it a little bit more difficult. Really, your imagination is the limit when it comes to some of this stuff. Again, another thing here for meal times, and this also helps that people use it a lot if the dog is a fast eater. You can just take a regular muffin tin and put some tennis balls in it and just put the food underneath, put the tennis balls on top. That way they have to move the tennis balls. You can also, of course, put paper or anything else that just kind of acts as a little bit of a barrier. You can even put a flat sheet of paper or something on top that they'd have to slide out of the way. So this just helps simulate that foraging. What's really, really cool and really interesting, they've done some studies recently where dogs had access to free food in a bowl that they could just go get, or they could do it out of any one of these little puzzle things. And almost every single animal chose the puzzle. They really do like to work for their food. They're little workaholics. It's so cute. I love it. All right. You can do the same kind of things with paper bags. and just close them up and let them tear it up. That's way far down. I'm not going to reach for that. You can also take different sort of jugs and bottles. You can cut holes in them if your dog needs it, and they can roll it and get things out. Or, of course, you can just leave the top off and let them figure it out. You can even make, oh, I don't even know what to call it. Anyway, you can drill a hole through and put a dowel rod in between and set it up on 2 pints. Put your food and whatnot in the bottom so that then they have to learn how to flip it upwards so it pours out. And of course, you don't want the top on when you do that. You can even do it with like 3 of them. Like I said, the most important thing here is to make sure that whatever activity you're giving your dog is matching their abilities at that time. Dogs will get smarter, dogs learn. But initially, you want to make this really easy because everybody likes easy wins and it just helps boost their confidence. Something that I like to do for my border collies, actually, I just made a mess, is to take a jug and I can cut some holes in the bottom here. I'll throw some food in there and then I'll tie a rope off and hang it from a tree. And so it kind of acts like a, oh my goodness, a tether ball. But it also dispenses food at the same time. And this way I also know just how much they're getting because I'm the one who's putting it in. Speaking of tether balls, adding a tether ball if your dog likes toys is also a really good enrichment for the yard. And you can also take different sorts of cups or tins. Again, this is kind of like a different training game. And basically, you're playing a shell game with them. So you set out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever. And you go through and you pretend to put treats under all of them, but only put treats under some, and then release them to go and sniff and find our different things here. So, like I said, when it comes to the DIY stuff, really you're just limited by your imagination. Now, with Maverick, because he's on a liquid diet, I do have to be a little bit more careful now. He can't have all the hard stuff. So he is definitely causing me to be a little bit more interesting. What I have found though is that I can put some liquid stuff in here for like the different cups and whatnot, and then just kind of attach them together or even 2 of different sides so that then he has to open it up. I can even go through and freeze these things. He does play with toys, and so I can put his toys in the boxes as the other video that I had was going to show. Then, of course, before I kind of go into the next slide, there's all sorts of different ones on the market. And if you need some ideas of different things that dogs are capable of doing for their mental enrichment, there are, of course, the licking mats. This is a little bit more of a calming thing for dogs, but it is a really, really easy win. So maybe some of your more nervous guys might like something like this. Of course, Erica and I really, really like Nina Ottison's toys. This is the Outward Hound Tornado. It's got little compartments. You can even put bones in that just kind of block them off. And again, if they're just learning it, you want to kind of open it up for it, make them work for it. But then once they get better, of course, you can leave it closed, put your things in to kind of block it off a little bit. If your dog is super smart and figures out all of that and you're going, oh my gosh, I'm going to be buying toys forever. Remember, you can also use your environment. So we can do different things like putting it up on a chair and having them figure it out, or putting it under something and having them figure out how to bring this out to then work through it. We just want to make sure, again, that we're not getting overly frustrated. But there are like so many different things that slide. And this one is actually Maverick's personal favorite. This is the poker box from Trixie. He does this anyways. He Some dogs you just need to childproof the house and put locks on everything because he figured out how to open the fridge, how to open drawers. There's nothing this dog could do. He was quite the hellion when he was younger, so he made me think a lot too. But so the poker box, you can go through and switch out where the boxes are, so it's never quite the same. You got ones that slide. We have a drawer. We have a flip and a lift. So anyway, it's just that one's really fun. And of course, if you're going, oh my God, this is a lot of food, don't forget you can also do the same thing with toys. Your things like your hide a squirrels also allow dogs to pull stuff out. If you have a dog that's maybe a little bit frustrated and really, really kind of likes to tear things up, we did this actually at the center for Hendrix, another Final Frontier dog. He has a J&W hex ball that doesn't have anything inside. But what we did is we took that, put a squeaker in it, and then put a bunch of different rags and strips of fabric. So this is a toy that he can go through and tear up multiple times and then let us restuff it for him. And he thinks it's a blast. And it's like, okay, kid. And the good thing here is that he really hasn't torn up the other toys near as much since he got that one. But anyway, so let's talk about how we know whether or not something is enriching for our dogs. There are some very important questions to ask. The number one is going to be, is my dog enjoying this? Because there's what we think our dogs are going to enjoy, and then there's what our dogs actually enjoy. So we want to make sure that the dogs are happy, they're not overexcited, they're not frustrated, they're not bouncing off the walls. Um, there should be kind of a calm, cool, collected thought when we're providing enrichment, especially later on. Initially, they might be a little bit overexcited, but if we have, vocalizations, or if your dog looks concerned or worried or is maybe not panting and you're like, "Oh my god, it's a hot day," your dog might not actually be enjoying that activity, like going to the going to a cafe. Not every dog wants to go sit at a cafe. Um, the other thing that we should ask is it stimulating my dog's natural abilities? If it doesn't, if the source of our enrichment is, oh, well, we're going to do a training session and all we're going to do is teaching you, how to sit or how to down, well, that doesn't really hit those instincts. I mean, yeah, they're natural behaviors, but it doesn't hit the instincts of things that your dogs need to do. They know how to sit. That's easy. Putting it on cue, that's a human thing. So again, you really want to know, ask yourself, does my dog seem stressed, frustrated, or overly excited? If they are, then they they might not enjoy that. You can try to either make it easier for them. This does require some brain power on your part also, or you can just remove them from the situation. If you go to the park and they come out and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't do anything, and you're only there for a couple of minutes and they are not engaged with you at all, they're watching everything else, maybe even vocalizing, barking, crying, or even in some extreme cases, if you're trying to escape, trying to run away, trying to climb back in the car, then that's not an activity that they're enjoying, and you really should not keep them in there because all you're doing is causing undue stress. The next one, is this activity appropriate for my dog's age, activity, and abilities? So I've mentioned my old kids here quite a bit. They cannot go through and play like fetch anymore. We never really played a lot of that to begin with. S Because they're older now, they are doing much more of the cognitive abilities than any of the physical stuff, although I do make sure, like, way back in that picture of, the physical environment, you noticed on the, far right that there were a bunch of mats around Maverick as he was laying in his bed. The mats are there to help him move around, so it is 100% for his comfort, and that is also a type of enriched activity because it adds to his comfort, and he really likes them, actually. He started, kind of jogging on them, which was super, super cute. So you also do need to take the abilities of your dog into account. Like I said, they do get smarter, but if they can't do it something right then, it might be a little bit too difficult. So think of ways to make it easy. And it might just be, okay, let's open it up. Let's give it an easy win. You're going to have to hang around a little bit, be a little bit more interactive. And of course, is this activity reasonably safe? Don't just I know that dogs like to chase things, but going and allowing them to chase and catch squirrels or birds or any of that, especially if they're not in a fenced in area, is extremely dangerous. Please don't do that. Um, and of course, if they don't like other dogs and they're not a fan of other people, you really shouldn't be taking them to busy places. There's other things that they can do. You just have to find out what they enjoy. That's going to be the number one, is my dog enjoying this? Because if they're not enjoying it, it's not enriching. So safety real quick, anytime we're doing toys or chews, we want to make sure that we're supervising them so things don't get stuck or swallowed or cause some sort of blockage. When you go out with your dog to the park, to the patio, to on a nature hike, whatever, you want to make sure that their gear is properly fitted. And by gear, what we are talking about specifically is a martingale that they can't slip out of, or a harness, again, that they cannot slip out of. Those are the gears that Erica and I use. Uh, there are a lot of good reasons to use a harness on a walk just for the dog's body structure. And you want to make sure that everything is in good repair. So when you take them out, your leash, you want to make sure that it's not hanging by a thread. Um, and that you know how to hold the leash so that your dog doesn't run off and escape. Of course, we want to make sure that there are appropriate interaction between other animals and people. It's no fun to have your dog being harassed by another dog. And everybody can recognize when their dog is being harassed. It might be a little bit more difficult if your dog is the one doing the harassing because you go, oh, well, he's just playing. If it's not enjoyable to both parties, then it's not appropriate. Uh, Play and everything should be mutual back and forth. And like I said, everybody should be having a good time. And if not everybody's having a good time, it's not enriching. You shouldn't do it. It's not safe. So the other thing is, a lot of this does require you kind of knowing your dog and knowing what they can handle. And I don't have any set formula for that. It's just lots and lots of observation, seeing what your dog apparently enjoys, what they continually come back and ask for more. Um, And again, just make sure that whatever it is that they want to do more of is safe. My border collies do actually work stock now. There's no way I let them run the sheep into the ground. Everything is pretty nice and controlled when we do it, although nowadays it's a little bit more of a hobby than the serious competition that I was looking at. Kind of going back into that, whether or not the dog enjoys it. So Casey, my border collie, she loved being in the spotlights when we went to shows. She just thought it was the best thing ever. Knox, my younger one, he is not into that show scene at all. And so it just wasn't something we ever did with him. Even your shows, even if you want to compete with your dog, it can be enriching if the dog is enjoying it. But if you have to do all sorts of other things in order to get your dog into the show, maybe you shouldn't be doing it. All right. So thanks for coming. I hope you guys learned quite a bit. And I think we are going to open up the floor here to your questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lynette. If folks have questions, please go ahead and put them in that chat box, and I'll make sure that they get to Lynette and Erica. A couple of quick reminders. Again, this is being recorded, so we will send out the recording either tomorrow or the next day. So that will be available for you. As a reminder, Every Dog is a nonprofit, so you can help us make these kinds of things available by making a donation. You can also schedule private training with us, and we'll make sure that the information for South Austin Dog Center is also available. It'll go up with the YouTube link so that you have that if you want to reach out to these guys. Other quick notes, we do have a number of upcoming webinars. We have one about dog car safety, whether that's road trip safety, rest stops, how to manage your dog in the car, seat belts, things like that. There's one about using play in training, which should be really good. And then another one all about dog play and dog body language. So a number of cool upcoming webinars if you haven't seen them already. So lots of fun stuff there. One question from Chris: what do you recommend for enrichment to reduce anxiety?
Oh, that really, really, really does depend on the dog. When we're talking about anxiety, you want to make sure that you can control the environment a little bit, and easy wins. Doing obstacles can really help build confidence in a dog, just because anytime a dog is anxious, they're not really confident. So, yeah, it depends on the dog again and what they like. If they will take food, some of these puzzle toys can actually be fantastic for them because they are really, really quick wins. One of my favorite things to do with dogs that are kind of anxious or maybe scared of something is to sandwich it. So do something I know the dog enjoys that's super, super fun, and then introduce something that they're not entirely sure of, make it really short, really quick, and then go back to doing what they think is super, super fun again. And that just helps them go, oh, look, I did that. I'm happy. Oh my gosh, this was a little bit scary, but hey, I'm back into the fun again. So it helps with that recovery.
We had another question about recommending enrichment for reactivity with people.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
So what do you recommend for enrichment to reduce reactivity against people?
Distance is a friend. They can watch from a distance at first, and you can also engage them in other activities with you. Eric and I do like to use a lot of Control Unleashed, and so we'll ask a dog to scan the environments, which Leslie McDivitt, it's the look at that game. So we're asking the dog to scan the environment. Oh, look, there's a person. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I see that person. Way to go. Good job. And we just kind of keep talking to them throughout it. But distance is definitely a friend. If the dog is not barrier reactive, you can also take them just on trips in the car to Starbucks or whatever. Go through, grab something really quick. Hey, they've got their little puppuccino. This is enriching for them, and they got to see a person. You just want to make sure that they're not going way, way, way over their threshold of what they can handle.
Awesome. Daniel asks, what's a safe place around Austin to introduce your dog to water?
Oh, actually, Mary Moore is pretty good. The problem right now with any of the water stuff is that blue-green algae is we do, even here at my house, especially in summer, we have little kiddie pools that they can go into. Some places do have pools that you can rent. That way you know that the water is relatively safe. Yeah, a lot of that's going to be just kind of watching the news, especially with the algae that's happening. Erica, do you have anything to add on that?
Jumping Jack Dog Ranch
There we go.
has a pool you can rent, and it's easy for the dogs to walk in, and they can stand in it, and they don't have to fully submerge themselves, and they can see the bottom. So that's a really good place to start.
Awesome. Cora has a recommendation for folks. She says, we find giving our dogs a licky mat that has been frozen with pumpkin and yogurt or peanut butter and mashed banana has been super helpful with anxiety, especially to calm them before we leave the house. So that's a good one. If you guys are not familiar, if you haven't seen it before, there's a Canine Enrichment Facebook group with almost 400,000 people in it. So that's a great place if you're like, I don't know what to put in my Kong, go in there and just search through it. It's a pretty cool group. So lots of stuff on there.
Baby food.
Yeah.
Baby food is fantastic, and you can actually mix that with a little bit of yogurt. Like I said, since Maverick went on liquid diet, we have to do a lot of different things. You can even puree things.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it looks like we are all out of questions. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Again, this is South Austin Dog Center, Lynette and Erica. I will make sure that their contact information goes out. We are Every Dog. We offer free webinars a couple times a month. So please check out what we have coming up next, and I will send the recording out as soon as it's ready. Thank you guys so much for coming out on this Saturday morning. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Thanks.